And all this information is in each and every one of our brains. I'm not teaching you a thing. How could I teach you something you didn't come in here knowing already? Imagine all the lights go out. You can't see anything in front of you. And then all of a sudden you find a light switch. And you see the chairs, you see the tables, you see all of the different things around the room, the lights. You see each other, the chairs. My question to you is, did all those things appear in the room when the light came in? No, your light doesn't go on. So it is the job of an educator to assist us, but none of us can do it ourselves. Our job is to assist us in finding the light switch of our minds. Everything that I'm telling you right now, if anything in here I've said to you that you think you did not know before you came in here, do not believe that. You knew everything I have said to you before you came in. All I did was assist you to find a light switch in your mind to realize you always knew. And that is what we have to go into our classrooms with our attitude. My attitude when I was with my kindergarten children is, I'm not going to teach you anything that you don't already know. All I'm going to do is assist you in knowing that you know. And that's how we have to structure our classrooms. This is how we have to structure the way in which we instruct our children. You see the children running around here? That was healthy. That's very healthy for children to run around. It's very unhealthy for 5-year-olds to be able to sit in the seat and not move. Melanin says you can't do that. Melanin says you shouldn't do that. Because when we were back at home, remember, we were running from one side of a baobab tree to the other. We weren't sitting in the classroom. This is a cave. In Africa, the only thing we did indoors was sleep. We ate outside. We entertained our friends outside. We studied outside. Everything was outside. But you see, when you come from a people who lived thousands of years in a cave, they're going to make you live in a cave with them. And so therefore you're believing that this is the natural way. This ain't natural. We're doing it because this is what we do. Because if we parked ourselves out there on Dudley Street, we'd all be arrested. But this really should be happening in Franklin Park, to tell you the truth. But that snow is something else. But remember, in Africa, it don't snow. So this is what culture, the role that culture plays with us, and how we have to look at it. Now we're going to be real quick because I know time. If I could go to the next one. Multiple intelligences. I prepared this for you, Boston. You see right there? Developed especially for Boston. That's for you. Because you are the land of my mother's pride. And when I say pride, I'm talking about a lion's pride. Okay, if we can move up a little bit. Can we move on a little bit more? Okay, well, I'm not going to wrestle with that. I'm going to tell you. There are, here in Boston, there was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Howard Gardner who came up with a concept he called multiple intelligences. It's called Project Zero from Harvard University. Another individual that studied his method, put it into education, his name is Dr. Thomas Armstrong. Now, I really appreciate Dr. Gardner, and I appreciate Thomas Armstrong, but they didn't invent anything new. Because the bottom line is that the multiple intelligences really is the apprenticeship system, which is the second phase in Kemetic information. You have the initiate, the apprentice, and then the son of light. In the Dogon, you have the Jidi-So, the Beni-So, the Bolo-So, and the So-Dai. And basically, the way in which our communities were structured in education is that as you matured, the story, the concept of education got deeper, but it was the same story. It's like when I taught astronomy to my kindergarten children. If you do a PhD program in astronomy, there's nothing really I teach anything new in PhD program, is that I get you deeper into astronomy. And so, what it says is this, real brief. Dr. Gardner says there are 7 intelligences. He says there's 8. But I'm afraid when peoples of European descent start talking about a spiritual intelligence, I just get very worried about things like that, because then we start seeing that we can actually be a pope. That we can actually see that there might be somebody more spiritual than somebody else. I have never met anybody more spiritual than me. I have never thought of myself as being more spiritual than anybody else. I, of course, believe that I'm God having a human experience, but that's a whole other concept. Each and every one of you is God having a human experience. And why would they have you going to church? To find God outside? So you put money in that collection. They're making big money on that. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone because I know that's a Sunday, so I'm not going to go there. You know, I have a lot of respect for Christianity. It really helped us through the most difficult times in our life. When we were on that plantation, and there was a story of a man who only did good for people, gave everybody. You know, if he came out of the desert after 40 days of fasting, he was thirsty. If he came out and one of his students came up to him with a glass of water, he would tell his student, give it to the child over there. Okay, brother used to walk the earth with one sandal. In all scripture I've ever read, he ain't never said he going home. He was homeless. This is the picture of Jesus the Christ. Now, here's the other side that's asking his congregation to give him $65 million so he can get a new jet. Now, there's some, now, where does Jesus walk there? What would Jesus say about that? He said, I got wings, that's how I fly. Because I take after Heru. But that's my sermon for Sunday. What Howard Gardner said is that there are 7 intelligences that I'm going to identify with. I'm afraid of the 8th one that he's developing. But I'm going to do the 7 that I know. Music is an intelligence. You can be a genius in music. Okay? You have a Hine. A Hine takes a test in fractions. And out of 10 questions, a Hine gets 8 wrong out of 10. She's told you failed. You don't know fractions. A Hine, in her frustration, she goes out, and what she begins to do is that she begins to sing Girl on Fire by Alicia Keys. Now, a Hine can sing. Y'all know what I mean when I say sing? See, if I'm in another kind of group, I gotta say, she sings very good.